you are going to...
Face it.
Nope, you had it right. There you go. Yeah, there you go. You can go one way or the other.
Oh.
If somebody comes down here, just lower it. Simple.
Oh, okay.
Because other tours love to come down here. I know it doesn't look like that now,
Okay.
because we're the only ones here.
So, okay.
Yeah.
What am I recording, though? Just the heat?
Well, anything at this point. So
Okay.
even when you're holding it still, if something moves across the screen, we'll be able to see it.
Okay.
So that's where you guys keep me
hold
around.
straight just down like that.
Well, you said if somebody comes, I'll put it down.
Yeah, just
No,
Okay.
we would see if there's a...
Black, you can see.
blue or black.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've had blue
But-
people walking towards that screen
And
before.
it doesn't have to be a person, is what we're saying.
No,
Yeah.
I know.
She gets it. She's got this.
Apparition. An apparition.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, sorry.
So, you broke it.
You did?
Glove on if you want.
Okay, it was still recording. I think she just swiped it away by accident.
All right.
Here's how the story goes. Every ghost story comes down here. They tell the same damn story. I'm just going to give you a few extra details because you're ghost hunting. You're not on a campfire marshmallow kind of ghost tour. So, let's get into it. A doctor moves here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. I say his name slowly because if the song Brown Eyed Girl shows up while we're here, it's part of his name. We get it all the time. It's not coincidence.
Okay.
Moving on. Doc moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a lot of money from her dead parents, and she has an attorney helping her out with all of the cash flow. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. He comes here to Charleston to prove that he's not after her money. He's going to start his medical practice here and make his own cash. On his way into town, he had a coachman that set him up to be robbed and killed. It's like having a really bad Uber driver in today's world. Sorry, I always get a lot of teenagers. I always have to explain what the hell a coachman is. Sorry, English guy. I feel like I got to explain it to him. But anyway, somebody was walking by and seeing what was about to happen to the newcomer, and because he knew the coachman. The person walking by was named Ralph Isaacs. Do Ralph's initials sound familiar to anything else I've said? Right. So we were getting the letters R.I., like somebody was spelling something out on the radio. And I wanted to know who it was referring to, the doctor or Ralph. I bought another device. What that device does is just like my little meter. It reads the EMF, but it gives us letters, like an actual Ouija board. I usually refer to it as the digital Ouija board. We've had the letters RI show up here, but only when
I'm so sorry.
Okay. There's no wrong way to do this.
Okay, go ahead.
But
I have such a nothing job, so I can't even handle that. Go ahead.
Wait do you see the next camera I'm going to give you? It looks way more complicated, but it's a lot easier to use.
Anyway.
So moving on. Ralph tells the doctor, hey man, I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Come with me. I got friends at 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from them. You'll be safe and good to go. Well, Doc was like, okay, and he took him up on the offer. They became friends, and the longer the doctor stays here with his new medical practice, the more money he's making. Proving his point, he's not after Amanda's cash. She got wind of this from Rhode Island. She sends him a letter saying she's on her way down so they could be married, and Dr. Ladd then became known as the Whistling Doctor. This is why I hate the story. Every haunted city you will ever visit is going to have a cliched whistling ghost. It's like the Lady in White. We all have a whistling ghost. This one just happens to be a doctor. So, why are we talking about duels and a happy doctor, right? Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. He just got better seats. That's the way it went. So one night they go see Richard III, and they are arguing on their way home as they're discussing the new actress that they just saw that they never saw before. Doc thought she was great. Ralph didn't. The argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda. Back home in Rhode Island, it got really ugly between the two of them, and they went their separate ways. The next day, Ralph went to his friends at the newspaper and placed an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thought of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of shit. Doc saw the ad and rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley, somebody's gonna die. Yeah. All this over an actress, by the way. Just like to point out how dumb shit was back in the 1700s. I'm sure it's just as dumb today. I just don't see it. Moving on. The two gentlemen came down here back to back. They took their 10 paces away from each other, and they turn. Doc points his gun in the air and shoots his one bullet. He did not want to kill his friend. He just needed the courage to show up. You guys know that that's often what happened at duels, right? Ralph still has his one shot. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Doc didn't die. His friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, and he did die 10 days later, November 2nd of 1786, after refusing medical treatment. Two things.
Doctor's his worst patient, whatever.
1786, gunshot wounds are a lot different, right? I normally have to explain this to kids because they don't know. Secondly, he is a doctor. He probably just thought he had lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out, but he failed. so obviously because he died.
Mhm.
Now every tour that comes down here tells their guests it's always this quiet, and they'd be right. But they're also telling them to listen
How come
for
this is changing so much?
because your hand's in front of the lens.
My head. Oh. Sorry. Okay.
Apologize. We are using 2 recorders right now, so that's recording audio, as is the voice recorder on my shoulder.
Okay.
More than likely, if a disembodied whistle is going to show up here, it's going to show up on one of these 2 different devices.
Mm-hmm.
Did you just hear that?
I did. It was a whistle.
Was it?
100%.
Yeah. Just a second ago.
I did not hear that.
1,000%.
Yeah, I heard the whistle.
Well, good. Now we have
Yeah,
a
it was
marker
not a
because we're
child,
talking
It
about
was not a bird.
Okay. Well,
I can't tell you how many times this has happened. I go through the spot check of your recording,
Yeah.
and it's the whistling part of a song, and then the word doctor from a commercial immediately after. Doctor happens all the
it was
time.
just like that.
Well, let's say like 10:19.
Okay.
If it has a timestamp.
It doesn't, but at least I know how far into this that
Okay.
we are.
Okay.
So probably about a good hour and 20 minutes. Sorry, I'm not keeping track of time, but now I am because you just
Yeah,
told me
no,
so.
I thought
Yeah.
maybe it was a timestamp. Okay.
But if you try this on your own by walking all the way through this alley and use the voice recorder from your phone, because that works too, just remember every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down
Oh,
Cumberland
maybe
or
just
Queen
going
Street,
with
we
you.
all throw a whistle down here. It's just something we do
Okay.
here.
Oh.
So I
Oh.
will listen for
Maybe
the
someone really
the
wants to
marker
screw
on
with us.
obviously the voice recording, but it's
Yeah.
because somebody might be on the other side of that wall. But here's how I got booted out of here. This is the fun part of the story. It also shows off my history and how much research I do.
How long do I have to keep holding this?
Just like the way you are. We're almost done with it.
Okay.
Put your gloves on.
Stay
It's
to work.
okay.
Are you okay with your hands?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's okay.
The wall didn't go, or the alley didn't go all the way through the way we came in. There used to be a
Right.
wall up there.
Okay.
So the reason why I'm telling you this is because this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston.
Oh.
Cows, goats, and chickens. This used to be called Cow Alley before it was Dueler's Alley. The reason why I'm telling you that is because they started building it down by Queen Street and started their way this way over the hundreds of years that we're standing on now. Those bricks are older. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children.
Oh.
God.
There's a full handprint from a slave child in one of those bricks, and you can see how small it is. I used to take my teams down there for a history lesson. Nothing paranormal or ghostly about it. And remember how I feel about cemeteries. That kid ain't there staring at that brick in the afterlife. We just need to see how far we've come from slavery. That's the only reason why I did it. November 26th of 2020, I took my entire team down there after telling them about the history of the brick, and they all stopped with all of the equipment huddled around the damn brick. I know nothing's going to happen. I'm trying to shoo them along because I'm trying to be respectful to the mansion at the end of the alley. We're outside this man's dining room window.
Oh, yeah.
He came out there. He was the new owner of the mansion. He had just bought it like the week prior. And he came out screaming his head off.
Hi.
My
To
youngest
to
daughter.
move away. Yeah.
Yeah, well, my daughter was on the tour that night. She was about 14 at the time. She thought it was hysterical that her dad was getting yelled at right in front of her. She was all about it. We moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving. You guys know I work for Walmart. What
Oh,
happens? Yeah, you guys get my point. You guys fight over towels
Like
on Thanksgiving.
Friday.
Yeah,
Whatever, midnight
well, before
shopping.
it used to be Thanksgiving
Yeah,
when we set it
right.
up. So I don't do holidays. I own this business. I can do whatever I want. The next day was Black Friday, and it's the 28th of November. I called my partner that brought me into tourism, and I told him what happened so I could figure out what to do. When he picked up the phone, he was already laughing because he already got the complaint. And he said, dude, you're not allowed to go down that far. You got to reroute your tour, figure it out, and he hung up the damn phone.
Oh.
I'm like, great. So what I told my team that night was, I don't believe in the next story. I've never had anything happen over there, and I'm into vampires, not pirates. Now, I would normally tell you a pirate story next, but we're not allowed in that space anymore either. But if I tell you we're going to be discussing pirates in Charleston, South Carolina, who's the first pirate you think of?
Blackbeard?
Blackbeard. Thank you for not saying Jack Sparrow.
Oh,
A lot of people say
yeah.
Jack Sparrow. Now, Blackbeard is usually your first forethought. So a couple of things about him. Obviously, he has a black beard and he is a man. But somebody, before we left this space that night, heard the name Anne coming out of their spirit box. I didn't tell them.
His
I didn't.
wife was girlfriend who lived here?
No.
Oh.
I didn't tell them it was going to be Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate.
Oh.
So I was like,
Oh.
oh, okay, maybe
Oh.
we'll get something. We go up and around the corner. I told them what I knew about piracy in Charleston, which wasn't much. Tickets were much cheaper back then. I can like go on the fly. But
Right.
anyway, somebody else heard the number 300. I didn't know what it meant. Wrote it down, do the research. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact
300
300-year
okay.
anniversary. Now, I normally get the wows and whatever, but again, I'm the researcher. I was actually pissed off because pirate stories come from pirate lore. That pirate lore was written 100 years after the days of Blackbeard and Anne Bonny. So whenever anybody found something that could be a pirate term, I had to watch 4 documentaries and read 3 textbooks to try to figure out how cool it was, right? I had this great story. We were capturing all kinds of things, and then we're no longer allowed over there. So I had to come up with something quick. We went across the street to tell the story that all the other ghost tours tell, and I did that for a few weeks, and then I found something new. So we're going to be doing this something new. I don't know everything about it. It's a quick little 3 to 5 minute story, and then we're going to go up there and swap out your camera, and we're going to be staring into a cemetery while you're listening in to see if I can get any EMF. I am going to look at this word list real quick just to see if we got anything.
Did you ever watch any of the Josh Gates programs?
Yeah.
Can I
like
turn
him.
this off?
Yeah,
I
you can
also
hit
like
stop.
him because what is he? He's an archaeologist. So I think he's interesting.
Oh, hold on. How come it's not?
Glasses.
How come
That's
it's
as we were
not,
walking in here.
How come it's not going off? Oh, there.
No, you have it as like a as an app. I don't know what you did. Hang on. There we go.